The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Upcoming featured August entertainment includes Jamie Johnson on August 9th and the $1 million Charlestown Classic Race and Festival on August 22nd. Enjoy live racing and live entertainment featuring Amanda Shires, Maggie Rose, and Susto. Free fun for the whole family. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Four-time Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Lyle Lovett performs live tonight at Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia. He called in to preview the show and reflect on the best songs of his career, from Cowboy Man to If I Had a Boat.
Jason, thanks for having me on your show.
We are talking because Lyle Lovett and his large band are coming to Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia on August 7th. Why do you love coming to Wolf Trap? I mean, it's arguably my wife and I our favorite spot because it's a national park. You feel like you get to disconnect from the world and listen to some great music. How about you?
You just said it. I mean, it's a very special place for all of those reasons. And it's, the amphitheater itself has a wonderful feeling. You feel close to everyone in the audience, and you can look up on the hill and see people on their blankets and picnicking and having a great time. It's just a wonderful atmosphere. But also, from a personal standpoint, this will be my 31st time to play Wolf Trap.
31? Oh my gosh.
31. So it's very special to me because Wolf Trap has been loyal to me over the years, and I just am grateful to be able to keep coming back.
Wow. Well, folks, if you've never seen him, what are you doing? Just 31 times. And if you have seen it, if you've been there for all 31, you got to keep coming back because it's new and fresh every time. And this time you'll be touring with Asleep at the Wheel will be opening up for you. And I guess you all won a Grammy together many years ago. So is it just like reuniting with old friends with those guys?
It is. I've known Ray Benson and his wonderful band, gosh, since the early 80s. I was a fan before I met them ever. But Ray and I have done lots of work together over the years, and we're friends. We talk together all the time, and he's such a great band leader and a great example to follow. He's one of the hardest working people I know. I mean, he manages the band himself. He books the band, and his son, it's a wonderful family operation. His son, Sam Seifert, works with him and helps him manage the band. So to see the father and son working together is inspiring to me.
Absolutely. And then in terms of your actual set, I don't want to spoil the entire set list. People have come and seen you before, but I assume it'll be all of the greatest hits over the years. You sprinkle in anything new you're noodling on or working on?
We're playing. We've been and the sets can vary from night to night, but a little bit. But the structure of the set has been consistent over the course of the tour, which is what I always aim for. I try to put together songs that feature the people that I'm playing with on stage, that feature the band and show the audience what they can do, and songs that give the audience a chance to get to know everybody on stage. We're playing. We may play a couple that haven't been recorded yet, but it's always just fun to get on stage and play and highlight people in the band. I get to play with some iconic musicians. Russ Kunkel is playing drums, Leland Sklar is playing bass, Jim Cox is on piano. Two of our horn section are college professors. May Sabert is professor of jazz ensemble at Georgia Tech University, and Brad Lely is professor of saxophone at the University of North Texas. Our trumpet player, Steve Herman, graduated from the University of North Texas as part of the Muscle Shoals Horns, and our trombone player, Charles Rose, is an original member of the Muscle Shoals Horns and is the leader of the section, the Muscle Shoals Horns, and their arranger as well. The wealth of experience and talent that I get to stand in the middle of on stage is staggering to me every night, and I'm, always just excited to hear them.
Yeah, that's the large band, symbolically large, and they're giants of the industry, and that's my segue to your to that movie Giant, Texas. And I'm trying to segue it. You were born in Houston, Texas in '57, although you grew up in Klein, Texas. Is it yours named after your great-great-grandfather?
Yeah, my mom her maiden name was Klein, and the area was named for my great-great-grandfather, Adam Klein, who immigrated from Germany, left Germany in 1848 and arrived there in North Harris County, Texas, around 1851. And he used to go to Houston and pick up everybody's mail and bring it out to the community. Klein is 28 miles north of downtown Houston. So in those days, a trip into town was a big deal, And, but the school district is named after the family, Klein Independent School District. And, it's an unincorporated area of North Harris County, but it's, because of the school district, the history of our family name and family history is preserved.
Wow, so deep roots there in Texas. That's great. And I'm trying to think, Texas in the late 50s, what music you might have been listening to growing. Is that like Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys, some Faded Love, or what was the early stuff you remember hearing locally?
And I listened to pop radio and country radio growing up. Houston has always been one of the major media markets in the country, but I listened to the Beatles. I listened to Elvis. I listened to Merle Haggard. I listened to Lefty Frizzell and Ray Price and Ray Charles, in my parents' record collection. And I hear your family.
Yeah, that is our dog, Liberty. So she wants to say hi. She's your biggest fan. But
Liberty should be free to speak. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she had a question. She was going to say, you mentioned Germany. She's not a German shepherd, but we'll go with it. So you studied German and journalism at Texas A&M in '80, but that's around the time where you were playing like solo acoustic sets at the bars off campus. Is that when you started first, dipping the toe into the live performance stuff?
I started playing out in 1976 when I was 18, and a high school buddy of mine named Bruce Lyon and I worked up a few songs together and got some gigs that summer of 1976, our first summer home from school, and I just kind of never stopped after that. And I played somewhere 2 or 3 or 4 nights a week, and have kept that tradition up to this day. It seems.
Oh, wow.
Next year will be 50 years since my first gigs, and it seems hard to believe.
I think you do a 50th anniversary tour at Wolf Trap next year.
Oh my God.
of your career. Well, that first self-titled album in '86 had the huge country hit, Cowboy Man. Do you remember where you were when you either came up with those lyrics or when you first heard it on the radio? Either way, but I want to know a cool memory of when that came together.
Oh, I'm not sure where that song came from, but I do remember making it up and playing it on the guitar. It really came from the guitar figure I was playing, kind of a Travis style approach, and the words sort of just fell out and into place. But I was thrilled that was my second single at MCA Nashville, and it zoomed up the charts to number 10 and promptly stopped. But it's one that I've always enjoyed playing the guitar, and we still play almost every show.
I love it. And so I'm assuming we'll hear Cowboy Man at Wolf Trap. We'll probably also hear some stuff off of, your second album, Pontiac. There was the Grammy-nominated She's No Lady. But I want to actually ask you about one of your catchiest, most popular, even funniest. If I had a boat, the line makes me laugh. If I had a pony, I'd ride him on my boat. You really should. Now I'm talking about coming to Virginia, Maryland area. You should really play that at Chincoteague Island one time.
We're today we're at Freeman Arts Pavilion in Delaware, and there's something about being close to the water, isn't there? And my dad was in the Navy, so that's really where the boat reference came from.
Absolutely. Well, it's one of your most memorable ones. I gotta ask about, you won your first Grammy, for Lyle Lovett and his large band. You beat Clint Black's Killing Time for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. That's a big accomplishment, because we all love Clint Black, but what songs were on there? Here I Am. I guess all that was just enough to knock off Killing Time, but do you have fond memories of that?
Gosh, I mean, in terms of who else is nominated, I mean, it's just an honor to be recognized by your peers and by the industry, and I think everybody eventually gets their turn. But yeah, it's always exciting. What's exciting about going to events like the Grammys or the CMA Awards or any of those kind of shows is that you get to see people you admire. You get to see people that you're a fan of yourself. Right. And you're all in the same room. You might have a chance to say hello. You might have a chance to actually have a conversation with somebody you admire. And so much of the business isolates performers from each other and from the rest of the business. So that's why I'm particularly excited about doing this show at Wolf Trap with Asleep at the Wheel. I talk to Ray Benson on the phone more than I get to see him in person. But when you get to see your friends in person and you get to see and hear what they do, it's especially inspiring. So I'm just, I'll just be glad to be in the same place with Ray and Asleep at the Wheel.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what those industry functions are like too. You just get to be around people you admire, and that, it makes you want to do your best.
Yeah, like you're saying, there truly are no winners and losers, because how do you even judge or rank art? You can't. But it's all about being in the room with those people. And we mentioned you won the first one there for Lyle Lovett's large band. I guess the second one was the collaboration, the pop collab with Al Green on Funny How Time Slips Away. And then you won for collaborating with Asleep at the Wheel. But memories of, we've already hit Asleep at the Wheel pretty good, so let's ask about the Al Green one, and Funny How Time Slips Away. Do you think that, exposed you to a wider audience? I mean, I think you were pretty mainstream at that point anyway, so, but just working with Al Green, though, that must have been just all-time stuff, the late great.
Well, Al Green, was one of my heroes, and one of the great parts of that experience was I rode to the studio with him in the same car. And so we got to have conversation on the way to the studio and the way back to the hotel. And the session itself was memorable because Don was produced it. He put together a wonderful band. Carlos Vega played bass. Billy Preston played keyboards. And it was, I just remember, and we sang it live together. Al and I did. We were facing each other and, each on our own mic. And as I watched him and listened to him, I just kept thinking to myself, all right, he's Al Green and I'm not. So I just tried to stay in my lane and sing in a way that was appropriate for me. But just watch him be himself was just a thing of beauty.
Hey, he might have said the same about you. You never know. That's Lyle Lovett, and I'm not. I'm gonna. That's two all-timers getting together there. All right. Well, I want to ask you about some of your other non-Grammy wins in 1 second, but I guess to round it out for posterity, I do have to say you've won 4. So the fourth one was for Best Country Album for The Road to Ensenada in '96. Everyone remembers the song "That's Right, You're Not From Texas." Do you have fond memories of that? I mean, I know that's almost 30 years ago now, but does that one still hold a special place in your heart because of the Texas roots that we talked about earlier?
Oh gosh, they all hold a special place in my heart. I was especially proud of that because the producer that I worked with from the very beginning in my career, who helped me produce the demos that I made in 1984, which led to my record deal, Billy Williams, was part of that award, and Billy and I got to go up on stage together to accept it. And Billy had been relegated to being an associate producer on the first few records, but from then on co-produced my records with me, and I felt as though he finally got a recognition that he deserved. And he's a wonderful man. He's retired and lives in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And I talk to him often. He's still a source of strength and clarity for me in navigating the business, which seems to, no matter how long you've been in it, it's always a moving target and something to figure out. And Billy has always been a voice of reason and a steady hand guiding me throughout the course of my career.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for going into all these songs. On a personal level, I'm first, and if you can't tell from my reference to Giant, I'm first and foremost a movie fan, and I know you did that compilation album, Smile Songs from the Movies in 2003, but some of my favorite stuff of yours is stuff that's been in movies over the years. I'll list some for our audience, and then I'll ask what your favorite one of these is, all right? So you did Blue Skies and With Honors. You remember the Joe Pesci and Brendan Fraser. You did a duet with Randy Newman, a different version of You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story.
That was the first version of that, actually.
The first version. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then his solo version was next. All right, cool. What else? Smile was originally in Chaplin's Modern Times. That might be my favorite Chaplin flick, but that appears in Hope Floats. And then my personal favorite is your cover of Mac the Knife over the end credits of Robert Redford's Quiz Show. I freaking love that movie, and the way you sing it over slow motion shots of the audience, right? They're just like clapping, even though they're getting fooled by, a fake quiz show. Do you think that sort of eerily shows how TV has the power to hypnotize us, and we've seen how that's played out politically in cable news, etc. But I mean, that's my favorite of yours. But how about you? Do you have a favorite movie song?
Well, you're just talking about that recording for Quiz Show. Yeah. Robert Redford was very specific in what he was looking for, and it was just so wonderful to work with. I had several conversations with him on the phone, and he was at the recording session himself, and the idea, in the film was the version of Mac the Knife that was the happy-go-lucky top radio hit at the time.
Yeah, Bobby Darin, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the Bobby Darin, and that played in the film. So yeah. And Redford said, when that song was a hit on the radio, people weren't aware that it came from Three Penny Opera. They weren't. It didn't. The music was so uplifting that it belied its real meaning, and so he was speaking to that sort of public mainstream naivete,
misconception.
I mean, but because that's what the whole Quiz Show scandal was about. It was playing to the public's good nature, but underneath it had this dark side that was rigged.
They were giving them the answers.
So what Redford wanted to do after that was all revealed, he wanted to have her play a recording of the real version of Mac the Knife, the darker side of the happy-go-lucky pop hit. And so as we discussed it, he wanting it to be a dark version, I said, well, what if we do it in the original German? And he said, that might be a little too dark.
Wow. Yeah, seriously. Now we're going into like Bob Fosse cabaret.
But it was great fun working with him. He was very involved and talk about an inspiring character and an uplifting spirit. I got to record. I sang it live with a 90-piece orchestra on the Paramount stage in Los Angeles, and it was just an experience that I'll always remember.
Wow, thanks for going so in-depth into that. I agree with you. I think Robert Redford is, I don't want to say underrated, because, Ordinary People and A River Runs Through It and Quiz Show, they've all been acclaimed, but I think most people, they think of him as, the stud leading man of, Butch and Sundance and The Sting or Gatsby or whatever. But, I think in film schools, people understand Redford's a directing genius, but I think the masses out in the public will remember that image of almost like a Brad Pitt or something of the 70s. But Quiz Show is a perfect example. He's one of the great directors of our time.
Robert Redford is one of the great directors, and just seeing the attention he paid to the recording of a song playing over the end credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Gave me insight to the kind of detail he paid attention to throughout the film. I mean, it truly is one of the great works, and in my career, working with Robert Redford is one of my great experiences.
Yeah, not to mention all the filmmakers he's launched through the Sundance Film Festival. His namesake from Sundance Kid. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, you mentioned getting to work with Redford on that, but on screen, as an actor, you've also worked with some other amazing filmmakers. I mean, what was it like working with Robert Altman? I mean, you've done a bunch with him, but specifically in The Player in 1992. That is one of the great sort of Hollywood satires. Seth Rogen's got The Studio out now on Apple TV+, but a similar idea like 30 years earlier, The Player. I love Altman's style of, wasn't he like famous for like miking all the actors at once in MASH or Nashville or McCabe and Mrs. Miller, all that stuff, and then it would kind of be like a cacophony of people talking?
Well, I think of Altman as another one of the great teachers in my life. His confidence in what he was doing was such a great lesson to observe. He was inclusive in his process. He never minded anyone watching him work, seeing his process very out in the open. He did mic everyone on set, and thereby portrayed a reality that was always fascinating. You know, all the side conversations and he presented people as they are. Altman's message, I think, across the course of his career, when you look at all his films, it's always there. His films are always about stripping away pretense and seeing people for their true motivation. And that's the central message in Robert Altman's films, and it was the central message in conversation with Altman as well. It was always about stripping away presentation and pretense and getting to the heart of a person.
Absolutely. So well said. I mean, one of the all-time greats, and I think it repays on repeat viewings. I mean, yes, certain things jump out when you first watch, like a MASH. You notice, oh my God, all the Korean War medics are shaped in the Last Supper. What's he trying to say with that? Like, certain images hit you over the head. But other ones, you almost need to see the films twice. Like Nashville, once you know where it's going and you meet all the characters, when you go back and rewatch Nashville, you see the different actors in the background of, you know, the other storyline. It's a mosaic, but like, I mean, I guess Tarantino did it in Pulp Fiction. You can kind of see Travolta in the background of the diner early, blah, blah, blah. But like, Altman's doing that in the 70s, and like, you're seeing these characters moving in the background of the other storylines. Like, it is a mosaic's mosaic. Maybe P.T. Anderson's Magnolia would rival it, maybe, but like, Nashville, it still blows me away.
Robert Altman was a groundbreaking director, storyteller. He had wide influence on modern directors, and I just feel honored to have known him and worked with him.
Absolutely. Do we have time to ask about Terry Gilliam in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Because that's another great director. I wanted to know, compare his directing style to Altman. I mean, here's Gilliam coming from, Monty Python and just laugh out loud hilarity comedy stuff, but then he does something like Brazil in the mid-'80s, and he's getting taken serious as a director, dramatic sci-fi stuff, and then you're working with him in the mid-'90s on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hunter S. Thompson stuff. Compare his directing style to what you had already done with Altman.
Terry Gilliam was gracious and kind. I was on set for exactly one day on Fear and Loathing, so I didn't really get to know Terry Gilliam. I enjoyed every interaction I had with him. With Altman, I worked with Altman off and on for years and got to know him personally and spent personal time with him. Terry Gilliam, I watched Monty Python reruns regularly when I was in high school and college, and so I always have appreciated his creative vision and his visuals. I mean, in Fear and Loathing, that day that I was on set was the court scene with Harry Dean Stanton as the judge, and the set was way up in the air. The judge's bench was way up in the air, exaggerated. It was, a thing to behold. I mean, it was so to see that in person is something I always think about when I've seen that film.
I just marvel at the filmmakers you've been able to work with over the years, and it's probably influenced your music in ways you don't know. And I was curious, because I know your cover of Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man was in Neil Jordan's The Crying Game, another watershed, one of the great movie twists in 92. I was curious, is there a reason you didn't include that one on your compilation album, the Smile Songs from the Movies in 03? Was it just you had to cut something?
That one was, the other songs on the Songs from the Movies compilation were original recordings for films. And that was the line I drew. I mean, that was the use of one of the songs on the Smile Songs from the Movies compilation were all original recordings for films.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks for clarifying that. All right. As we wind this thing down here, we've talked about these great movies. You mentioned Monty Python, and of course, Smile came from Chaplin. And so let's go a little bit into your comedy roles. I know you had a recurring role on TV's Mad About You, and you even played yourself in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. John C. Reilly's so funny, man. Have you enjoyed showing that side of yourself? Because you are a funny dude. You know, I was quoting If I Had a Boat, and I said that made me chuckle. So you are a funny guy. Have you enjoyed showing that side?
Well, my being on Mad About You is really a result of my friendship with Paul Reiser. I've known Paul for a long time, and I just think he's wonderful and hilarious. And I had done a song for Lawrence Kasdan's film Mumford. I did a recording with Cat Moe for Mumford, and got to know his son Jake through that. And it was Jake who asked me to put the band together for that scene, and asked me if I would be part of that performance of Walk Hard with Jewel and Jackson Brown and Ghostface Killah from the Wu-Tang Clan. And it was really a fun couple of days. We worked in a recording studio to record the track first, and then when we were on set, it was, just wonderful. Judge Apatow was there. And of course, Jake, Cass, and it was just a lot of fun. And what a classic film that is. And yeah, I'm honored to have been able to sneak on.
Absolutely. And thanks for mentioning Paul Reiser. He's come on the show before, too, because we're a Maryland show, and Baltimore, he's in Diner, like, you know what I mean? Like, we love Paul Reiser around these parts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess as we wind this down, I know a lot of people mention, you used to be married to Julia Roberts, but I'm not going to ask you about that. I want to hold up your current wife, April Kimball, married in 2017. What's the secret to a good, happy marriage? April and I have been together since 1997, and we have 2 children, and my life has never been better. I'm grateful to her for everything that she does for me and for our family, and becoming a dad at age 59 has been the best part of my life. Oh, well, congrats. Well, thank you. You're inspiring me. My wife and I have our first one on the way this October.
Well, good luck to you, man.
Oh, we're so excited. And Liberty, the dog, barking in the background. About to be a big sister. Lyle Lovett and his large band are going to be coming to Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia on August 7th. And actually, stay tuned. Mary Chapin Carpenter, who's coming to Wolf Trap, will be airing that episode. She references you in I Feel Lucky. So you'll have some Lyle Lovett residue even after you play at Wolf Trap.
Chapin's a longtime friend of mine. I met Chapin in 1985, and we've been friends ever since.
Absolutely. So everyone go see Lyle Lovett on August 7th, and then stick around next week, and you'll hear his name referenced in I Feel Lucky. So we can't escape you at Wolf Trap in the next couple weeks here, man. Hey, thank you so much, seriously, for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me on, Jason. I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.